a little bit of an engagement, just a chat and kind of informal chat just to get intels and an understanding of this project that we are about to execute.
Sure, well, maybe you can, in a minute, maybe you can share your screen and talk a bit about the project in Uganda, the water project there. You've been involved in that?
Yes, actually the project hasn't started yet. It's just in the pipeline, I would say. And currently on the project, I'll be the research coordinator. This is because I am integrating it into my research. I'm currently in school. I came back to school to do my master's, and it will be a basis for me to collect data and use it to support my ML AI learnings. So a little bit of introduction is, my name is Stellamaris Nakacwa, and I am everywhere Youthmapper's regional ambassador. I'm Ugandan, though currently I'm not home. I haven't been home since January 2021. And for the reasons I just explained, that I joined school. I'm currently at the University of West Virginia doing my master's in geography. And it will end in 2 years. So Janet, I'm glad and privileged that you learned about the mapping water sources and water point mapping in Uganda. It's a project that has been brought to us through Youthmappers and the Bureau for Food Security at the USAID Washington. And it's geared towards, I would say, improving mapping, that is one, but also supporting the integration of technology in governance and everyday monitoring of water sources and water distribution amongst I would say sub-Saharan environments, because we realize that even if there is currently enough or some amount of data, there is literally not enough amount of data to do good monitoring and good budgeting for water distribution. But also on the other hand, it's a tool to enable and enhance food security, as we know that water is one of those basic needs and basic components to run life. For livelihoods, we understand that women carry the biggest burden of ensuring that, in all that you integrate house care, labor, you integrate so many things. And we realize that women pick up the central role in ensuring that all these activities are running. And so they take the biggest end of the bargain to make sure that water is available and for homes, for all that they do. So that's one reason. So we're looking at how accessible or how to improve the reach of water for women and girls through this project in Uganda. It's also integrating quite a number of things, such as the COVID-19 pandemic. We all realized that the outbreak of the pandemic and some of this SOPs was washing our hands. So that made water very fundamental in the fight against COVID. So how many communities do actually have access to water and full distribution of water amongst themselves? Through this project is another way to find out and start to examine how best we can leverage and utilize tools like geospatial tools, AI and machine learning to improve and support water governance in one way or the other. So yeah, I would say those are the key points within the major points through this project is to improve and support the frequency of water monitoring and distribution and effectiveness through open source tools, geospatial tools. support decision makers with such information and help them, shorten the amount of time they have to do to make budgetary decisions, to make distribution decisions, to make procurement decisions, and stuff like that. So the project hasn't yet kicked off. It's just still under baking, I would say, financially and technically, and research-wise, it's all being integrated. As you've seen, there are very many facets to it. So which one to choose and explore in terms of research and sustainability? One of those, food security, and women, and governance, water governance, and COVID-19 pandemic as a health issue. All those are like the tributaries onto the project that are significant on how we can utilize the tools. Currently, there is already water point mapping that has been done through the Global Water Challenge. If any of you has access to their laptop, you could search for the Global Water Challenge. They have a program called the Water Point Distribution Exchange, Wpdx, which is a platform that integrates, or would say a repository for all, I would say water points distribution, and it has a schema for water mapping in like around the world. So it is this data.
So
yes.
Stella, is one of the first things that you're going to do compare the data that's on that Global Water Exchange with the data that is in OpenStreetMap? Is that correct?
Yes.
So I don't know if you can maybe share your screen and tell us a little bit about how you might go about that and so on, and talk us through that a little bit from, I think that would be helpful. So Gift Open, Lydia, do you know anything about the Global Water Exchange? Have you come across that yet?
No, not yet.
Okay. Would that be okay, Stella?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. I haven't yet collected just as enough as possible, but I'll just share this little that I have. Okay, a moment. Just 2 minutes and I'll be there.
And also feel free to ask questions, Gift Open, Lydia, either by unmuting yourself or typing in the chat. I'm very keen to know more about this because I would also like to do it in Tanzania if possible. Lydia, go ahead.
To say, reply that, okay, we asked the question when we are not yet clear, and you are, or we are not yet getting the.
Lydia, you're very quiet.
No, I'm saying that we are going to ask the question where the answer.
Okay.
But right now, I don't have any question.
Okay, great. All right, thank you. All right, over to you, Stella.
Yeah, so I'm still a little bit going through the analysis and the integration of all this, but I think the cornerstones of integrating the Wpdx data into OSM is, first of all, understanding the attribution on both the OSM side and the Wpdx side. So one is that I have this area of interest that I picked, and first I was able to map out just the points that are existent both in OSM and both in and in the other Wpdx repository. And I was able to get, let me see if I can annotate.
Stella, for some reason, the Zoom window is in front of your file.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but it is for me.
A moment. Are you able to see now?
No. I mean, that's better if you're moving it over to the right. Okay, yeah, that's okay.
This is okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is just what I did. Is one of those is I collected information of just the points for this area of study that I intend to focus on in OSM and both in Wpdx to see just the amount of water point distribution that is in both areas and for what length of time they've been collected. I realized that Wpdx water points are collected through different institutions, usually I think local institutions at home. And this is how they've been able to collect most of their information, utilizing the government bodies and institutions down at home. And for OSM, it's a capacity of just us, the mappers, when we find these water points and through different projects that we've been able to collect. So the time resolution is also a bit different on the collection of data. Then on the categorization, because this hasn't happened yet, so we have to first understand first is the attributes that are attached to OSM data, and then the attributes that are being attached to the Wpdx data. For the attributes of Wpdx data, they are available within the files that are provided or given onto the website. And also through OSM, we can have the tag schemas for the different, regions or the different places through which data has been collected. In Uganda, we haven't had much. What I was able to establish is the crowdsourced non-camp refugee data that was done by the humanitarian OpenStreetMap. And then also I was able to establish the UNICEF WASH data that was collected still in Uganda in a certain environment. So they were able to create their own schemas of what describes a water point in the moment that should be in the OSM environment. But here Wpdx I believe, the amount of research that should be embedded on monitoring and studying food security and doing all these COVID healthy investigations to what we have in OSM is just like the basic information, or I would say the minimum. So Wpdx has quite a lot of information that can be utilized to enhance a project or to enhance any kind of research beyond OSM. So yeah, this is a little bit of it. This is just a collection of it all. No analysis has been done yet, to create a schema, and then finally we can integrate this information, get it from Wpdx and embed it in OSM.
Fantastic. So if we wanted to do this project in Tanzania, the first step would be to download the data from the Global Water Exchange.
Yes.
And then
download it, and definitely there has to be some cleaning because it's just raw information, raw data. So you would have to undergo to first validate it. If you're downloading it for Tanzania and the whole of Tanzania, there is quite amount of review, referencing the administrative structures in the data and the administrative structures that are given by the local institutions in Tanzania, and then validate that. And then also validate, I guess that would be like the reference point for validating the location, because not all the coordinates that have been attached in there, I would say the most precise coordinates or the most precise locations. You would have to review that, but they have quite a good amount of information that you can use to reference to clean the data set.
Great. And if one of the interns or somebody else was interested in doing some of this project, would you be able to advise them or answer any questions that they had?
Definitely, I believe so. It's more I would say this would be not the first project I have done when it comes to doing work with OSM, but it's definitely the first with water. So yeah.
That would be great.
Yeah.
So are you, as part of this project, are you expecting to do anyone to do any field work mapping, or are you going to be adding additional water points in the field, and if so, how?
Yes, we expect to do that, to go to field and add additional water points. Like I said, that the temporal resolution for the data is not entirely, like I would say, up to date, like it's very fluctuating. So to aid research and probably set a baseline for investigation and further, scientific exploration, going back to field would be an option, and perhaps the best option to validate some of these points perhaps that we've embedded in OSM, but probably they are no longer existent. Yes, they were on the repository of Wpdx, but in the event that we go to the field in 2021, probably these points have been, removed, they have been shifted, they are no longer functional. They've been replaced with different, I would say maybe types. It was a borehole and now it has been upgraded to, to like a reservoir, just to investigate that and execute. So it would be very beneficial to go to field, and definitely we have to.
Okay, but obviously that makes it a really huge task. So some time ago, Crowd2Map obtained open government data for Tanzania, which was all of the school locations, clinic locations, and water point locations. So we added most of the schools and clinics, because for those it was very easy to see on satellite images. But for the water points, really it was impossible to tell from a satellite image. So we didn't really do anything with them. We didn't add them to OpenStreetMap generally. Because,
I think that's where fieldwork comes in, because they are very tiny and I would say have quite different textures because of the time of installation and stuff like that. So it would be very hard to identify those on like satellite imagery. So like physical appearance on ground would be the best factor for verification.
Yes, so we have done a little bit of that, particularly in Mara region, using ODK and taking photographs and so on and adding them. But obviously that's really, really time consuming. So for your field work, are you going to concentrate on a particular area where you've got mappers on the ground, and how are you going to collect that data?
Yeah, I would say that this is on the other hand, experimental. So it's quite a learning process, especially like for Uganda. Yes, we will go to field, and definitely I would say the occasional open source apps that we always use embedded in our smartphones and tablets is still the method that we are going to use to collect this information. And yes, for time purposes, for both the project lifespan and research, it will be definitely a specific area. It cannot be, in the meantime, it cannot be the whole of the country, because that's a whole a lot of resources that will be required to do that.
Absolutely. And are you hoping to use a lot of youth mappers in the data collection?
Yes, the project is wholly, I would say, centered around building field capacity for youth mappers. So the entire fieldwork process will engage youth mappers.
And when you said about the apps that you'd use, did you mean ODK or something else?
Yes, ODK, OMK, those ones, the occasional ones that we use.
Fantastic. Well, so when, I know you said that this is at very early stages and you're just doing some of the research at the moment. When do you think the field work might happen in Uganda?
Perhaps next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, perhaps it would be possible to do something in Tanzania in tandem, using the same methodology and so on, and engaging youth mappers in Tanzania and in terms if they're interested and so on.
Yes, definitely. I believe it's a project that can be extended. And that will be extended with Youthmappers. I think this is just like an experiment. And for the purpose of in tandem, I think it's just here in the early stages, it's just developing, us being able to develop the infra, like the performing standards or the performance standards. And once they are ready, like it will be so easy for Youthmappers to just, you know, move it from one area to another area to another area. So it will be very, very easy.
Fantastic.
And, yeah.
Well, that would be brilliant.
Yes.
So, okay, interns, any questions or comments? Very quiet.
So yeah, maybe I would say like maybe tasks. Yes, please.
Sorry. Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Stella.
Yes, please.
Okay. I would like to know what made you to go that field in water development channels and all that.
Okay. I would say that my driving force is being able to apply the geospatial skills, capacity, and knowledge that I do have to support, improve situations, especially those that put women at the center of, I would say, inequalities or injustices in one way or the other. Of course, predominantly people would call it like using GIS for social good. I would say, but I'm more inclined to open source and using open source tools. So I find myself in water because one, it's everywhere Maps Regional Ambassador. So I'm currently focusing on investigating any area and any, I would say, rapidly developing area that is currently centering women. And one of those, I would say, is like unpaid care labor in work. And when you look at water, water is like a driving force for so many things, just like land, yeah? So, and it's a project that you can leverage, I mean, to add and utilize your spatial tools to create change and drive improvement and revision of policies. And it's also an environment that hasn't been given, I would say, quite enough attention when it comes to governance. Yet it's very critical. Have I answered? Have I answered my driver?
Could you put the link to the data source in the chat?
Sure. Yes, definitely. I'll do that. Let me do that.
So, any other questions about? So Stella has a huge amount of experience in mapping and working with Youthmappers. So I'm sure you can ask her questions that are also related to that as well. And Stella, you've done quite a bit of training in Tanzania as well, haven't you?
Yes, I have. I have supported the establishment of the University of Dodoma chapter. I think that's one I've critically worked with, but I was also there in the establishment of the, it's called the Institution for Rural Development, something like that.
Oh, IRDP. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
In Dodoma.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I've supported, and yeah, up to now, I continue to support just as the whole network and as a regional ambassador. I reach out and provide any kind of guidance when they reach out, and when I see it is deemed fit, I reach out and support. So this should help. This should help. This should help.
Oh, thank you.
Link should help, at least to push you up to the data source. Yeah, but they have like huge amounts of data on water point distribution and all kinds of water sources. Yes.
So the link that you've shared with us is, oh no, it's okay. So you have to filter it for a particular place.
Yes, you have to filter for a particular place, and then you can download it.
Great, thank you.
Thank you too.
So I think yeah, you can also get you can also just download for a whole country if you go.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll put that in the link as well. Fantastic. Any more questions? Well, Stella, maybe you would be able to send us an update later on when you've got some, a link to maybe some of the, background and so on.
Yes, I do believe that once all is set up, definitely, because we intend to do a campaign, especially Everywhere She Maps campaign, and call upon or try to sensitize or create knowledge on water mapping and the importance and why it could be critical for the young and youth mappers as a whole to participate and be critical about such events. So definitely this information will come through, and we hope to create a series of events to this, which I believe will be beneficial. So yes, we will share updates. I will share updates.
Thank you very much. Well, if there's no other questions, then let's let Stella go. I'm sure she's got lots of work to do. So thank you very much, Stella.
Yes, thank you so much, Janet. I hope to keep in touch. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.